Say hello to the DRZ4S, Suzuki's new reincarnated 400cc trail bike, single cylinder, 37 brake horsepower, about 152 kilos. I've got it here for context with the KTM 390 Enduro R. I picked it up yesterday. It's going straight out on the fleet for people to ride tomorrow, so it'll be out tomorrow back to back with this, that, CF Moto 450 MT and a Himalayan 450. You know, this market's really hotting up. We've just had the KLE 500 announced. We've got the Moto Morini Alt Hike. We've got the GS 450. Like, so many bikes coming through, and obviously they're all different. This is more trail end of the market, but the overlap with the 450s, the Himalayans, and CF Moto, I think it encroaches on this a little bit. You know, my background is taking tours for people on these types of bikes to say, you know, we've just got back from Portugal, just got back from Balkans, CRFs, Vosges 300 rallies, KTM 390s, Fantic Caballeros, Himalayans, you know, those type of bikes going on travel tour trips where you're doing some trail, some travel on the road, and it's looking for the bike that suits all occasions, which is never going to happen, because there's always going to be an occasion when you want a different bike, but it's what sits in the sweet spot. So this has come out quite bravely at £8,000. I've got to be honest, buying it with the business's money, which is effectively my money, feels a lot of money. You know, when you look at it, you go, wow, it looks nice in the flesh, but £8,000, that's 5.7, £2,300 less money. I feel when you buy that, you go, wow, I've got a beautiful looking bike. You know, it looks well detailed, it's got good power, 43, 44 brake horsepower. It's not expensive, it's got good adjustable suspension. You look at the Suzuki and you go, okay, right, this is a different kettle of fish. This is not competing on value or bling or whatever. This is competing on good old-fashioned Japanese history of building quality motorcycles. And it's a gamble, you know, and I think Suzuki's choice to pitch it high price is a statement of intent to confirm that Japanese production is worth the extra money. Whether it will be or not, whether time will tell on that fact. But it's a brave decision to go in at this high, because it's a nice bike, but does it feel any better appointed than the CRS? Not really, no. You know, it's nice, but it doesn't look as good in the flesh as the 390. It looks all right, but £8,000 is £8,000, and I think this will be the litmus test for the market. All those people who don't want to buy Chinese bikes, who poo-poo Chinese bikes, well, there's your alternative. If you want a proper Japanese bike, you're going to have to put your hand in your pocket for it, because they ain't going to be cheap. If you want to pay for Japanese labour to build a Japanese bike out of Japanese materials, it's going to be a higher price, and the market will decide whether we want to pay more for Japanese or less for Chinese. You know, I was down in Portugal on the Vosges 800, the DSX. That bike is £7,000 with 93 horsepower, heated seat, heated grips, panniers and all the lot, and that's less money than this is. So we're dealing with very different price points for these bikes. What I would say immediately to separate these two bikes, this has got that lovely soft, springy, but hopefully well damped suspension that means it's going to be perfect in our UK British trails. I've found so far with the 390, it feels a little bit out of its depth on our rocky, ruggedy, muddy trails. It feels like it's got road derived suspension, but with off-road derived wheel setup, which gives the illusion, the impression that it's going to be great off-road, but I think actually its best strength is on road. I think it's a great, wonderful road bike, and on the trails, still to be convinced. I think this is the other way. This is going to be the trail bike, which is average on the road, obviously 5-speed. A lot of people aren't happy with the 5-speed, but I think it's going to conquer the dirt in a way that doesn't quite. That also stalls a lot, and hopefully it's just at a first service. Hopefully they've updated the mapping so it doesn't stall as much, but at the minute I'm slightly infuriated with that bike, because it just doesn't seem set up, ready to go, ready to race. Seems like it needs remapping and all sorts of other work, so that's where the value spotlight swings onto this. It's £2,000 more, but if it works, if you don't have to invest in fueling, if you don't have to upgrade the suspension, then it's £2,000 well spent. So we've also got a 10-year warranty. I believe it's going to come through. It's up from 7 to 10 years. And even if you let the warranty lapse and then have it reserviced at Suzuki, they'll kick in the warranty. So it seems a very good warranty on this bike. So to me, this seems, I haven't ridden it yet. This is just guesswork from what I'm feeling, what I'm sensing. This is a bike that you buy for the long haul, an investment bike that you're going to have for 5 years, 6 years. You're going to look after it. You're going to keep it maintained. You're going to depreciate it over a longer period of time. than something like that, or a Vote C100. Therefore, it doesn't feel as big a hit. £8,000 today, but over, say, a 5-year period, it's not a lot of depreciation. Whereas I think people will buy that, they'll have it a year, they'll sell it. They'll have something else for a year, they'll sell it. Always losing money, always changing buys. This feels like this is the one you're going to keep. You're going to keep it serviced. Suzuki are going to look after you. So we're going to see how we go. 37 brake horsepower. It's all sort of riding modes, which are totally unnecessary on this bike. What would have been better is handguards and a good sump guard. It's not got neither of them. Toolkit under the side panel on the left is pretty sparse as well. So they've not blessed us even without a rear luggage rack. So I mean, Suzuki are playing hard to get. You know, they're one of those glamour girls of the school prom, which led you by the nose but never quite delivered. You know. You could have me if you spend enough, sort of thing, and it feels like Suzuki are playing hard to get with this bike. High price, low amount of trinkets. You know, Vogue 300 Rally, you get rear rack, handguards, side protection, everything. This you don't get anything. So we'll see. This is just a quick intro ride to say I've got it. It's on my fleet for people to ride back to back. Not on a trail. It's not trail days. The back road adventure days with some optional trails, but it's going to give people a chance to see. What does it feel like? Yeah, can I get my leg over it? 5'9", 5'10". Oh, actually, you know, once I'm on it, not too bad. Strong right foot there. I can manage that. Bit tall, but I've got good ground clearance. I've got that soft suspension. You see that? That's what's going to carry me over them bumps. That KTM suspension, if I bring it forward a touch, you won't see that plushness at the front. I think it's 230mm at the front on this. That's nearly, I think it's 280 or 290. So it's still got some, but it's not quite as soft and supple as that Suzuki, and I think that's the separation. This engine flies along at 70 miles an hour with a 6-speed box. It's a great, fast, agile, focused road bike that still does itself justice off-road, but this I think is for the true long-distance trail, British trail rider, that type of rider. It's the only option out of these two. So it depends what kind of rider you are, what kind of thing you want, what kind of riding you want to do. But first impressions, I'm going to get out on the bike, get my kit on. It's out tomorrow with 6 other bikes, see what they make of it. Cheers, happy days. Well done Suzuki for at least getting the bike out. Okay, just a quick little bit on the end just to say I've been out on it. I didn't take my GoPro, so I've got no riding footage. I only did 30 miles. As you can see, I did a bit of track, some easy track, a little bit of steep descent, and then also some road work. I just want to give my quick first impressions, because this, I always feel like your first ride is your baseline. This is what, you know, this is if you went to a dealer and borrowed one and took it out for an hour, this is what you come back thinking. And that impression evolves. Sometimes you start to like a bike more, sometimes you start to like a bike less. So this is my baseline on this DRZ4S, and I'm going to be honest, and I think it needs to be, because they've been ambitious with the price. Greedy almost, let's say, with the price. So I'm going to be honest with my first opinion. It's not an £8,000 bike, it's a £6,000 bike, masquerading as an £8,000 bike. That's where I feel at the minute. For 2 reasons. Main reason I think is when you start getting into it, start looking around at the fasters and stuff, it's not an £8,000 bike. It's just not got that edge to it, that premiumness that justifies a price tag. So perception first of all. Second, I think that without that 6-speed box, it's always going to be limited to short distance riding. Like, I was out and I did the back roads, I hit a long lane, loved it, like that lovely plush suspension. It's great on the track. You can even just sit down and it's lovely on track. Punchy throttle, smooth, crisp pickup. It hasn't got that, you know, the fluffiness or the stalling or the empty bottom end that the KTM has. So on track and back roads, beautiful. Get it onto an open road, you get a 52 miles an hour, 53 miles an hour. You rev start to rise, you get into that spot where you slick it into 6 and cruise along to 60, 65, whatever, settle into a rhythm. And the gear's not there. So you're like, oh. So you from 52 onwards, you're in the meat of the power and the torque. Maybe you get used to it, maybe the engine loosens up, but it's like, wow, that. I was on the fence about the 5th gear. The 411 Himalayan, I love it as a 5-speed box. I think it's better than the 450 for having that one less gear, because it just means you can relax and it's nice. The ratios are nice and spread out. This, it's all stacked at the bottom, which means when you get to 52 miles an hour, there's nothing left. There's nothing to stretch out. And you just go hunting for 6th gear and it's not there. As I say, you might adjust to it, but I think any justification that Suzuki had for not fitting it is not justified. Like, it needs it, should have it, would be better for it. You know, some things are facts, some things are opinion. I'd be hard pressed to find anybody who didn't think it needed that 6th gear. So that's a frustration. The seat also, God, that's a 45-minute seat, and then you're starting to shuffle about on it. That's a 2-hour seat, 3-hour seat. The difference between these two bikes is night and day. That bike, that engine is smooth up to 70, 75, 80, probably more so once it's running. It's a great road bike. You could do long distance. You could ride down to the Italian Alps and do some trail riding. You wouldn't have the plushness of suspension as this, but you get down there far easier. You'd actually get down there far easier on a CRF 300 because you'd be in 6th gear, overdrive, pop all the way down. This is a close quarters trail bike. You know, it's not for hitting the tarmac. And yes, it will. There'll be people who say, well, I've done 900 miles in a day on one of these. And you can. But I think my initial impression of this bike is this is a short haul, close encounter trail bike that's great on the track, great on the trail. It's a great Sunday afternoon trail bike, but at the minute I don't see how I would use it like for what I use bikes for, say going around Iceland or going down to Stella or ACT Portugal. I feel without that 6th speed, it's really hamstrung. That's my opinion. And if I was out at a dealer test riding this bike and I'd just done 30 miles as I've done there, would I buy one? No, I wouldn't. So I'm being honest, have I got buyer's remorse? If I bought this for $8,000 and I just had that first ride on it, would I be thinking, fucking hell, what have I bought here? Yes, I would. Yes, I would. What am I going to do to offload it? That's what I'd be thinking. But I'm blessed. I've got this bike to go on a fleet for other people to tell me what they think. Tomorrow, 5 other guys are going to ride this and going to tell me what they think. So 5 guys might love this. And that's why opinions are always going to differ depending on what you want to do with it, what your expectations are. So my opinion of this bike at the minute is like, it's a nice bike for $6,000, but $8,000, piss off. It's not an $8,000 bike. Sorry, Suzuki. Yeah, you kind of think it's $8,000 because it's going to be so good. And it is when you're floating along them trails. But as soon as you hit the open road, you're like, oh, I'd be better on a $4,000 Vosge 300. Sorry. Crucify me, kill me, whatever.